Okay, good evening. We'll start right away. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Um, we would be having the concluding class for data visualization, and I wanted to apologize for the long break. I think we've missed like 3 weeks now from the last time. This was due to situations beyond my control. So, okay, I don't know why my power BI is hanging. Okay, I'll share my screen in the meantime and hope that the hanging gets better. Okay, so in the last class we started visualization, and I explained that it's like the interesting part and is where we put all the data that we've been cleaning and modeling into visuals that people can see and can see insights from our data. And we actually put out some visuals, but somehow it looks like I didn't save the file that I had used that day. So I'm just trying to build a few visuals to show a bit of what we did last week. But in the meantime, can we hear me?
Yep.
Okay. In the meantime, I remember that I gave us homework last week or in the last class, and I would like to know if anybody wants to attempt. The question was to differentiate between filters and slicers. So I don't know if anyone wants to take that. Anyone wants to tell us the difference between filters and slicers?
I could try.
Okay, let's hear you.
Okay, so for filters, so for filters, I think there are three types. There's okay, now it's been a long time I read it actually, but there's the page filter. There is oh no, I can't remember. I can't remember what I wanted to say, but there's the page filter. There's the one that affects the visualization itself, and I can't
Okay.
remember. And I can't remember the third one that affects a particular visualization itself, and I can't remember the third one. But one of the things I remember very well is that for the page visualization, so it affects like all pages in the document. But one thing about slicers is that for slicers, you can actually choose, you can decide to apply it to all pages as well. And at the same time, it has the capacity or the capability for you to be able to choose it to just restrict it to specific pages. So you can say, okay, of the 7 tabs I have in this document, I only want this slicer to speak to maybe like just 3 of them. and this other slicer to speak to maybe just two of them, for example. But so you can do that with slicers. But for filters, if you're applying to all pages, then it applies to all the pages. If you're just applying to one page, then it applies to one page. That would be a separate filter. I don't know if I've made sense.
Okay, yeah, you're making sense, definitely. Thank you.
I think another difference is a slicer is actually one of the visualizations that we have that Power BI has, but a filter is not necessarily a kind of visualization.
Okay, fantabulous. Thank you, Anapi. Does any other person want to try? Someone else wants to tell us the difference between a filter and a slicer? Anyway, in the absence of none, I will just go straight to. So, like she has said, basically, so a slicer. The first thing that we need to understand about a slicer is that, and I will just demo that. Can we see my screen? Can we see my screen? Yeah. So a slicer is a part of your, is like a part of your visual. So what that means is that it occupies space. For example, if I want to use a slicer on this this thing, on this page, for example, on this dashboard, I would have to select, I will come here where I select normal visuals like I was selecting for the other ones. I would select a slicer, which is this. And then I'll put the data points that I want to use on the slicer. Maybe, okay, maybe I want to use year. So I'll put year in the slicer. So once I put that, okay, I don't want this, let me use a drop down. So once I put that, the slicer automatically, of course, is in sync with all the other visuals. So when I change to 2019, it captures 2019. If I select 2020, it captures 2020. So we can see how each of the visuals change in response to the slicer. But if I was using a filter, I will put the filter here by the side where we have filters. There's a whole pane dedicated to filters in Power BI. So I can instead have year here as a filter, filters on this page. So what she was saying about filters being 3 types, I can have filters on one visual. So filters on this visual, week ID here. I can have filters on the whole page, and I can also have a filter that speaks to, like if I scroll down, the third one is filters on all pages. So I can say, oh, I want this filter to communicate with all the pages, like I have page 1 and page 2. So I can use a filter to, if I want something that filters all of my visuals on all of the pages, I can use a filter. Or if I want it to just be only the visuals on this page, I can also use a filter. But the difference she mentioned, for example, is that if I have a slicer, I can have a slicer here and have the same. So for example, I have 3 pages. I can't use a filter to filter only the 2 of the pages. Only 2 of the pages. Is either the filter works only on one page or it works on all the pages. But if I want it to be only on 2 pages, I can't use a filter for that. But I can use a slicer. So I can have a slicer on page 1, and I'll have to put the same slicer on page 2 and then sync the slicers. For example, let me come here and do an example. Let me come back to this page 1 and put the same year slicer. And yeah. So what I have to do is to say so I'm supposed to synchronize this slicer with the other slicer on that page. Where's the? I'm trying to look for this sync slicer thingy. Okay, so this page 1 and page 2. So I want to sync the slicers, add and sync with all pages or select specific pages. So what this means is that this slicer is going to affect both page 1 and page 2. Now I don't have that option with filter. The filter only asks me this page or all pages. It's not asking me either page 1 and page 2. So assuming I add up to page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, I can select which ones I want the slicer to affect. And then by the time I close this, what happens is if I come here and select, say, 2019, if I go to page 2, page 2 would have also done only, can you see page 2 is now on just 2019. And if I come back here and select, say, 2020 and come to page 2 has also come to 2020. So that's the flexibility that we have with slicers. However, because slicers are visuals, they occupy space on their own. If you're in a situation where you're concerned about space, maybe you have a lot of visuals you want to put and you don't want to use page 2, page 3, page 4, then in that case it will be better to just use a filter, especially if your filter is you're only using it for one page or you don't mind using it for all the pages, then you can just use the filter and then save your space for slicer. So it's not, we really can't say that one is better than the other. It just depends on your business case and what you're trying to achieve. So that is about it for slicers and filters. I'll remove this slicer. So these are examples of some of the visuals that we went through last week. And I think I had explained how we came about them. I also explained drill down and drill up, hierarchies, and all of that. So I think I also explained edit interactions, that I might just briefly go through that for the benefit of anybody that was not in class then. So let's edit interactions now. Okay. So basically, this here you can decide if you want your visuals to talk to each other. And what that means, like I explained last week, is so if I click none here, it means that whatever I do in any of these places does not affect this donut chart. So for example, if I come here and drill, let's say drill back up, and I select premium computers, you see that the line chart was affected, but the pie chart was not affected. That's because I had said, okay, I don't want you to have any interactions with all the things that are happening here. Then I can also say, okay, I want it to just highlight. I don't want it to filter. So what this means is now, once I click premium computers here, premium computers are highlighted here. So that's why you can see that these other ones are gray. But if I now say filter, once I click premium computers, it takes out totally everything that is not premium computers. So that's just taking us through edit interactions. And then when edit interactions, when you're using yes.
I think Honor Pepper has a question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't seeing anything on my screen, as in any movement on my screen. So I don't know if I'm the only one.
No,
Like
can we see movement?
the cursor is just in one place.
No, I can
The
see it
rest
from
of
my
us,
screen.
can we see movement?
Okay.
Yeah, I
All
can see
right.
from my own end. I think it's
Nafi,
on
maybe you
it.
should log out and log back in.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So for example, also the edit interactions work differently with different visuals. For example, because this visual is a visual that has a drill up and drill down, you can decide if you want, when you're drilling down, the drill down should also affect like your other visuals. So and that's what we have here. So that's why, for example, if I drill this down to item numbers, okay, this guy is still on. So when I drill it, when I click premium computers there, it shows premium computers here and all of that. Another visual I wanted us to talk about today is the map. I don't know if we covered it at all last week, but I would just like us to go through again. So for that, I have imported the data that we had used for Choma's class for the modeling class. I've imported it. So if you have it, or if you have it, you can just import it. So we can use it because it has location data and all of that. That's why I imported it. So we can use it for the map part. So I would open a new page and click on so if we remember, because I have categorized each of these data points, city, region, and states, as location, that's why they have this map stuff in front of them. If not, we will not be able to use them for the map visual. And there are two types of map visuals. There's the normal map, and then there's the field map. So we'll start with map. Let me make this bigger. And then what we want it to show is just our sales by city. So we want to see which city is giving us the highest sales. Sales by city. Like I am looking. The cities are a lot. They are concentrated in North America. Let me use states. Maybe that will be better. Okay. So this is a bit better. So what this shows is it's just showing us what our sales are in different states, and we can see that the sizes of the ball is different in each of the different places. So the size of the ball actually indicates how big your sales is. So at a glance, you can just look and see that, oh, California is where you have your highest sales because it has the biggest ball, and then the ones that are smaller where you have low sales. So you really can just start asking questions like, oh, okay, what are we doing differently in California? Or is it because they have a higher population or stuff like that? So also when you know what state you're making sales, you might just want to say, oh, okay, so do I need to put more resources? Because usually, I mean, put your money where your mouth is. So if you feel like this state is giving you more sales, you might want to put more resources there. And another thing we can just add is, I mean, looking at sales without looking at profits can be useless. So you can just add profit in the tooltips, profit to the tooltips, so that from here, so as you are seeing the sales, you are seeing the profits. I mean, you just want to know if the profit is commensurate to the sales. Be sure that you're not just making sales without making profit. This sales, I don't know why the comma is not showing. Let me just quickly change it because that makes it easier for us to see. Okay, that's it. So we have the comma now, so you can see it properly. Okay, so let's go back to our visual. So we can see, for example, in California that for sales of 457,000, we made a profit of 76, which is fair enough. And all these other places too. 76, 74, and then here, we're even making loss despite making sales in some places. So you see why it's important not to look at data in isolation. For example, you could have just really thought that, oh, Florida is not doing so bad. You made sales of 89,000, but whereas you're making loss in some places. For example, Arkansas, you're not even making as much sales, just 11,000, but then you're making profits. But here, you're making so much sales and then making a loss. So it's important not just to look at sales, but then look at all other adjoining data. So let's just let's look at what the second map type looks like, which is the field map. So I will put profit at once. Profit against region will be too small because there are only like 4 regions. But let me see how it works. Coming. Let me use the state tablet. State against profit. Okay, so looks like this really needs to be big for us to see it properly. So what it has done is to even color each of the different states different colors to show the difference between the field map and the normal GIS map is. So this just shows circles in different sizes, but this field map, it kind of fills up the whole, like, so this whole place now is like the map of Texas, and then it fills it with a different color that tells you that, oh, okay, this is the profit for the state of Texas, and this is the profit for state of Minnesota, and etc like that. So I usually prefer the this first map though, because it's easier to see the sizes, and you can easily draw insights by knowing which state is giving you higher profit and all of that. And as usual, you can still use filters and slicers here too, and you can have your edit interactions. For example, I'm looking for have your edit interactions as usual. So if you say the reason why we're not seeing now is because it didn't use, let me just edit it properly. So we use different colors for different states. Or what we can also do here is to use conditional formatting so that it graduates the colors from like highest to lowest. So I'll just do that. Based on what we're using is profit. So you say based on profit. Because I don't like the way they're all showing blue. So yes, sum of profit, lowest value start from blue, and highest value should go from blue to red. So you can see different states now having different colors. So I wanted to actually edit the interactions. That's why I got here. So now is on highlight or filter, sorry. So if I come to this and I click on, what state is this? Texas. This filters for Texas. And if I come here and click on, say, Michigan, this filters for Michigan. If I come here and say filter for Washington, this filters for Washington. But then if I say no, I don't want them interacting, even if I come here and click, say, South Dakota, it doesn't affect this guy. So edit interactions works on all visuals like that. So like I was saying, so the difference between these two types of maps is just that this sort of fills the whole state with whatever the value is. And then what I had done was to use conditional formatting to graduate the colors, so that the colors that have the lower states, it starts from blue and goes to yellow and then to red. So the ones that have the lower colors, okay, normally you should go from red, the lower one should be red, and then the higher one should be green. So maybe I should just redo that. Oh, no default color. Let me just redo that. So the lower states have red, and then the higher states have green. Here, value red. There's no exact green here. Let me just use this one so that I don't waste time. So that's basically it. But somehow this is still easier in the first one to see the sizes than trying to deduce colors like you would need in the field map. So the last the other kind of visual, and then another thing, okay, let me use this page to show the other kind of visual that I wanted to talk about, which is a scatter plot. A scatter plot is good for identifying outliers. And what do I mean by outliers? For example, if your data has sales or performance of different staff and all of that, and let's assume that everybody is scoring 78, 72, 75, 77, and there's one staff somewhere that scored 22. If you use a scatter plot, it's very easy for you to identify those kind of numbers. And the reason why it's good to identify those kind of numbers is for two reasons. Sometimes there are mistakes in the data. For example, maybe it's where you see that kind of thing that you know that no, my staff are not that bad. None of them could have scored 27. And then by the time you go and check and you investigate, then you find out that, oh, they were actually trying to type 72, not 27. So that's why these kind of charts are very useful. It's useful to identify outliers. And what if, for example, it wasn't actually a mistake, that staff actually scored 27, then it makes you start asking the right questions that, oh, okay, so why is this person getting this kind of score and all of that? So what we can use here is maybe sales rep. So what quantity is it, or how much money does each sales rep make? So I'll click on sales. I hope the sales rep are not too plenty, because if the sales rep are too plenty, it's going to be messy. Then sales rep. I'm coming.
Reduce the volume of that stuff.
Okay, I don't know why this is not.
Maybe you look at the data set again. Maybe there's something wrong with that data set.
No, the data set is fine. Is that your data set? I think I'm not getting where I'm supposed to put the. It's like, I'm coming. Let me just use this thing. No, I'm not counting sales. Okay, let me check the data set like you said. The sales is decimal number now. Some. Know what to do. Yeah, they all.
You
They're
can
supposed.
check your sales rep table. Let me see something from the data
Okay.
view.
Sales rep. Oh, okay.
Um, go to click on the table itself. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I've
What am
found
I
it.
saying? Organic, but it's actually
Exactly.
showing
Exactly. That's what I was
names.
looking at.
I think there's something wrong. Go.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that.
That's why I wasn't picking. Maybe we'll use something else. Maybe we'll use ship mode. The ship mode looks normal. So let's use by ship mode. Same. Okay, this seems to work better. Let me put the sales rep in that x-axis and see if it will work. It's not supposed to be in x-axis. It's supposed to be here. Okay, so what I did is to sales and also then profit by each of the sales rep. So now what we can see is we have sales on the x-axis and profit on the y-axis. So it's expected that when your sales grows a certain way, your profit should go a certain way and all of that. So that's why I put the sales against the profit. And then we can now see that all of the data for most of them is concentrated around here. But then there seems to be one guy hanging around here. Okay, so is that organic?
That's same organic.
Exactly. So once it has showed, it's showing us the error that is actually in the data, which is something that I will look at later. But like I said, I mean, that's one of the, like I mentioned before, that's one of the benefits of using this kind of chart. It makes you to see what errors there are in your data. So basically, also there's, let me do a scatter plot for, so did anybody download the data set that I shared on the channel? That's actually the same data set that I used for the first class, but I wanted to do some other visuals on it today. So that's why I put it up there for us to download it so that we can just do ours alongside. So for example, if I use that same data, for example, to check our let me use a new page, page 4, and I want to do another scatter plot. But then on this chart we have and what I want to check is our sales against inventory. That's inventory, of course, is the amount of stuff that you have in stock or that you're storing in your shop, and then your sales. So normally it should be that if you're not selling so much, if sales is low, maybe it's a period where sales is not going so much, then inventory should also be low. because there's no reason why you should be stocking up stuff if you know that people are not coming to buy. So you just want to check that that relationship is correct. Now you can also use a scatter plot, for example. So I would just come here and click sales and average inventory. Okay, I'll change this to a scatter plot. Let me expand it. Okay, of course I have to put the details. So I will use week. I'll use week here. Or let me just use month. So now this shows us how our sales and inventory moved on different months of the year. So this is August. This is, why is the month not showing as a legend? Let me put it here. Okay, so we can see which month is what. So this is January. This is what have you. Then another interesting aspect of a scatter plot is what we call the play axis. So I can put, for example, quarter here. Okay, that doesn't work. I can put month here. Choma, please help me, I don't confuse. There's somewhere where you can put there's a place where you put something on the play axis, then it shows you how it has moved over the period. Okay, I don't know, maybe I'll post that on the channel when I find it. But on this play axis, you can put another let me see. You can put another data point there, and then when you play it, it shows you how that data point has moved over this period. Like it plays it like a video. But why I went to scatter charts is because, so after scatter chart had been around for a time, Microsoft felt like there was something that could do this job better, because so this shows us sales against average inventory, but it doesn't exactly tell us how they affect each other, like what's the relationship between them. Just like when we did in algebra, or was it algebra, that straight line formula, y is equal to mx plus c. When you calculate the slope tells you how x affects y, like when x moves by 20, y moves by 25, and all of that. So another visual that shows that better is what we call and I'll put it side by side with this so that we'll see the difference, is what we call the key influencers chart. So what I would do again is to put as usual sales and average inventory in this chart. So sales and then average inventory. So this uses the AI capabilities of Power BI to do some analysis, and then it tells you that, oh, whenever sales increases by so amount, average inventory also increases by so amount, just based on your data set. So what we can see here is telling us that average inventory on hand, when average inventory on hand goes up by this amount, the average sales also increases by this amount. And then you can also change it to decrease or increase. So here you can see exactly how each of them are affecting each other. Change it to decrease. So it will have to reanalyze it and all of that. So this actually, so for example, if it looks quite simple because it's just sales and inventory, but if you have like a lot of other things driving your sales, maybe count of customers or category of accounts and different things like that, this can just tell you in one click how those things are influencing each other. And then you can even still add another thing. So this is sales. What you're analyzing at this point in sales and what you're using to explain it is average inventory. That means you want to see the influence of average inventory on your sales. Now you can still expand by something else, say category. Okay, sorry, category doesn't work. Say product name. So now that we have added product name, what this does is when you come to why is this thing behaving like this now? Okay, so something's not wrong with this data. This category is supposed to show here for different categories. It's supposed to show us how it behaves for different categories. I did this. I'm coming. Let me just check that the data set is okay. Let's stop data. Sales. Okay, what else are we using? Average inventory. Okay, let's go back here. So what did I do? So this is showing also the chart, but it's also explaining to us on an average when average inventory on hand decreases, sales also decreases, and it's telling us how much it increases by, or how much it increases or decreases by, as the case may be. Then it also tells us this top segment is still not coming up. This here, the expand by the side is now showing us how each of the categories relate to each other. So if you click on say what's this category? Premium computers. You can see how the inventory and sales relate to each other. I don't know, this is actually acting up. It's supposed to show us individually by the side here for each of the categories, but it seems something is wrong with the data, so we'll just make do with what we have. And also, please just try to lay your hands on it and try it too, and then let me know what you find. Let me delete this and start all over, see if it works better. Okay, I want to just start it all over and see if I will get what I'm looking for. So sales against average inventory, and then we'll change it to key influencer, and we add category here. Okay, so do category here. And category here. Okay. Aha. So now it's telling us how the category influences the sales. And then it says when the category is premium computers, the average sales increases by. So this is literally telling us what category influence sales, or how each category influence sales, for example. So you can just say, so by the time you click this, it shows you how. So when the category is premium computers, this is how sales moves. And when the category is, you can click all of the others. When the category is low cost computers, so this premium, this is how sales moves. And then you can select low cost. Sales is more likely to increase when category is premium computers than otherwise. So it's just telling us that the key influencer of your sale among all of the category is premium computers. That's the key influencer for the increase of your sales. And then if you change it to decrease, so which of the categories drive low sales? It says when the category is computer monitors, sales reduces by this amount, and when the category is tablet, sales reduces by this amount. And then if you come to the top segments, found 3 segments and ranked them by average sales and all of that. So you can see each of the segments. What these top segments means is the same population counts, like how many of them sell the most and all of that. Or how many of them drive low sales? When is sales more likely to be low? These are the top 3 segments. And then when is sales more likely to be high? This is the top segment, which is this segment. So that's what the key influence is. Because I was making the mistake of putting this guy there, that's why I wasn't responding well. So basically that is how key influencers work. So please, I would really appreciate if you guys try this. because like there's a lot to learn, and these things are improved on every day. Just like I said, it was scatter charts we were using before they came up with this key influencer. So these things are improved upon every day. So you really need to continue practicing it so that you can keep up with all of the new features that are coming up. The last final visual that I wanted us to look at is let me open a new page for that. Is the decomposition tree. So I would also like to compare it with, what do I want to compare it with now? Let me just compare it to this okay, no, let me compare it to the bar chart, because most of these charts are quite like an improvement on a previous one. So on a bar chart, we can say we want to see sales by category, and then after category we want to see sales by the item number, or no, let me not use item number, let me use product name. No, not as legend here. So now we have sales, and then the big heading is category, and then we now have product name. So now every time you want to go down from product name to category, you have to click this to drill down. Like, okay, I have to activate drill down, then you have to click this and then drill down to all the product names they have under that category, and then drill back up if you want to see premium computers. Now the limitation of this is that you cannot see at a glance what each product name, each category and each product name is doing. So you have to always drill down and drill up, and that means you can only see one hierarchy level at a time. The same thing with if the hierarchy was dates, you can only see year, quarter, month, one at a time. For example, if I remove this category hierarchy and I put say year, quarter, and then month, at every point in time you have to drill down from 2019 if you want to see the month. Then you now have to drill down again from the month if you want to see the weeks. Sorry, from the quarter to see the month and all of that. Now, the other visual that I think does a better job of this is a decomposition tree. And a decomposition tree, as the name implies, is like a tree, just like family trees and all of those things that we used to have, that sort of finds a way to decompose your data. So for example, now this same sales by date that we have here, so I can say sales. So what we want to analyze, say as asking analyze and then explain by, what we want to analyze is sales, and these are our total sales figure. We want to analyze it by, let me use category and product name first, then I'll come back to date. So we have category here already, then I'll add product name. So the way this works is this: you have your total sales, then you have a plus sign here. It says choose how to split your data, but because I've added category and product name here, the moment I click this plus, it gives me the option of either category and product name. So I can start with category, and then from category I can go down to, from here I can go down to product name. So now this still does drill up and drill down. Like as you can see, it has the drill up and drill down features at the top too. But the difference between this and the normal column chart is that when I drill down, I can still see all of the levels of the hierarchy. And so if I want to compare something or I want to see where I'm coming from, I can see a full picture. So for example, after this now, I can go back and click premium computers. Can go back to premium computers and then drill that down, or I can go back to tablets, or I can even go back to sales and then again drill down and all of that. So that's just the advantage of this over a regular column chart. It gives you a better view, and you can also see all of the sales figures for each of them, unlike a chart where you just have, yeah, you have to be trying to guess, so is this 10 million, is this 9 million or 8 million? But this gives you like the chart and then still gives you the number. And another advantage it has is, for example, if I want to focus on low cost computers and then I come here, let me go back to the beginning. So I have the sales and then I want to split it. It gives me the option of saying, so apart from this category and product name, you can see where it says high value and low value. I can actually, sorry, apologies for that. I can actually decide if I wanted to sort of highlight the highest value. So if I click on this high value, it breaks it down to the next hierarchy, which is category, and then highlights the one that has the highest, which is premium computers. As you can see in this place now, premium computers is like a bit darker than the others, which shows that it's highlighted. It's telling me that that's the one that has the highest value. Then if I still come here and say, so instead of high value this time I say low value, break down low cost computers but show me which one has the lowest value. So it's telling me that 2020 HP laptop has a lower value than the other low cost computers. So there's just so many other things that you can do here that you could not do in your regular bar chart, which makes your analysis and all of that a lot easier. So like I said, there's really a lot of other charts here. ArcGIS, there's a gauge which is usually used for, you want to check how well someone has completed maybe something that's supposed to be 100%, or somebody has a target and all of that. So there's really a lot of other charts, and we might not be able to go through all of them really. So if you just practice on your own, take all these data sets that we have provided and then use them to practice. Try on any of the data sets, any of the charts, sorry. And like I said, each of the charts have different purposes, and you decide a chart you're using based on the business case that you're trying to solve. And so the kind of chart you use also will determine how flexible you can be, and then the things that you can really achieve with the chart. So basically, I've tried to go through a few of the charts and the ones that maybe you use more often and all of that, or the ones that I feel like a bit complex. So that's how I've selected the ones that I've gone through. So what I'm saying in essence is that this is the end of our visualization class, and it will be important for us to continue practicing this, just so that you can understand more and also challenge yourself. Now, while you're practicing any of the charts or any of the things that we have covered so far, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them on the channel. I try to answer those questions. So, or you can send a message to myself or Choma or any of the mentors really. This is the end of visualization basically. Next week or in the next class, whenever that would be, we'll be going to analyzing data. Analyzing data is still somehow an extension of visualization, but just go further to tell you how you can get a lot more insights from the visuals. Because I mean, preparing visuals like this is nice, but then how you can bring out the insights that you want the decision makers to see from your data is what is very important. So that's about it, and that's the end of today's class. And I would like to ask if anybody has any questions that they want to ask. Question? Is anybody hearing me? Maybe I've been talking to myself.
We heard you loud and clear.
Gloria, I can't hear you. Are you saying something else?
Yeah, I said I heard you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for the class.
Oh, is that Gloria?
Yeah.
Okay. Apologies. Okay. Okay, then if there are no questions, I'll take our silence to mean that there are no questions. So I don't know if I should save this file and upload it on the channel in case anybody wants to go through it. Maybe I'll just do that. But please, the best way to get anything out of this is just for people to do their own practice. So really, it would help. And feel free to bring your questions to the channel. We would answer them. Okay, in the absence of any other questions, I've come to the end of the class, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.